Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kesbam and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. This afternoon, Minority Caucus criticizes new cocoa price announced for the 2025-2026 crop season, describing it as woefully inadequate and accusing the government of deceiving farmers. Also coming up, President Mahama calls for increased investment in health infrastructure as he opens Made in Africa Health Sovereignty Summit in Accra. And much later, Ghanaian midfielder and former Arsenal footballer Thomas Partey granted conditional bail after appearing in a UK court on rape and sexual assault charges. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Our revenue assurance firm Evertex Logistics Limited is rejecting Ghana Airport Company Limited's decision to terminate a multi-million-dollar contract and has warned of legal consequences if the move is not reversed within 7 days. The dispute centers on a revenue assurance audit agreement signed between the two parties on December 4, 2024 and subsequently terminated through a GACL letter dated the 28th of July 2025. The termination is to take effect on the 27th of August 2025, but the decision has triggered strong resistance from Evertex, which says it has already begun executing its mandate under the terms of the agreement. Let's help us unpack the issues and what may lie ahead. Noble Crosbyanan is my colleague. He joins me the lawyers of Evertex. What exactly are they demanding and the arguments they are making against this termination?
Well, Beatrice, so they are being very direct with this letter that they have addressed to the managing director of the Ghana Airports Company Limited. So they are acting as lawyers for Evertex Logistics Limited, and they are holding the instructions to respond to the letter from the company on the subject matter of a notice of termination revenue assurance audit agreement. Now, they're giving the background that in the said letter, it was conveyed by the Ghana Airport Company Limited their intention to terminate this agreement dated 4th December 2024, effective 27th August 2024. Now, their client has received the information, and to its utter dismay, it is giving that it is heavily invested in the infrastructure tailor-made for the GACL, pursuant to the agreement aforementioned. And their client is also considering this intention to terminate the said contractors actuated by bad faith and unreasonableness. So these are two reasons that their client is giving that this desire to terminate the agreement is actuated by bad faith and then unreasonableness. Also, that they have invested heavily in the infrastructure tailor-made for the GACL in response or relation to what we're talking about. So they are instructed by their clients to inform the GACL that the purported termination is unacceptable to it, giving its capital investment into the contract in the region of some $64 million. Moreover, their client had already exchanged or started executing the assignment in fulfillment of the contract and indeed prepared reports for the attention and action of the now management of the Ghana Airport Company Limited. So the bottom line is that in the view of the foregoing and in the spirit of seeking an amicable settlement to the matter, their client is instructing the lawyers to inform the GACL to withdraw their letter within 7 days, and this is the letter of the notice of termination. And they've been instructed that if upon the expiration of the 7 days they fail or refuse to withdraw the said letter, they would have their client's full instruction to institute an action to vindicate its right and seek reliefs, including
a raw deal, as he claimed their counterpart in Ivory Coast are receiving higher prices. He wants the finance minister to cough up money to deliver the promises they made, while urging the food and agric minister to render an apology. And we'll be bringing you the minorities' voice quite very shortly.
This figure constitutes a paltry 4.2% increase over the current price of 3,100 cedis per bag. You agree with me that our hard-working cocoa farmers deserve better than this Sakawa price of 3,228.75 Ghana cedis. In the run-up to the December 7th presidential and parliamentary elections, the then opposition members of the NDC, led by Honorable Dr. Eriko Poku, the then ranking member for Food, Agriculture and Cocoa Affairs of Committee of Parliament, now the Minister for Food and Agriculture, and Honorable Dr. Adu Adu, the minority leader then, and now the Minister for Finance, informed Ghanaians that cocoa farmers were being shortchanged and that Cocoa Board was cheating cocoa farmers big time. Honorable Eriko Poku, on various campaign platforms, including a meeting with cocoa farmers at Dadia Swaba in the Ahafo region, consistently promised cocoa farmers a producer price of 6,000 Ghana cedis per bag. Honorable Atuforsen, on the other hand, promised to pay cocoa farmers 7,000 cedis per bag if they won power. What happened to these numerous promises by Honorable Dr. Eriko Poku and Honorable Dr. Adu Atuforsen? Today, the Ivorian farmer at the current exchange rate is receiving the equivalent of 3,635 Ghana cedis per bag of 64 kilos. A staggering 407 Ghana cedis more than what Cocoa Board is paying. This stark difference presents an irresistible incentive for smugglers to divert Ghanaian cocoa across the border, particularly leading to a mass exodus of our prized main crop beans from the border regions, especially in the Western South, Western North, Bono Ahafo, and the Volta. What was the promise by His Excellency, the President, to pay 70% of the FOB price to farmers when he addressed farmers during his thank you tour in the Bono and Western regions?
And you heard the ranking member on the Food, Agriculture and Cocoa Affairs Committee, Isaac Yao Opoku, addressing the press some minutes ago. Let's bring in our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, Christian Yale. He joins us live in the studio. Chris, what more did the minority say?
All right, and so the minority traced back to earlier promises made by the finance minister, and what he is saying right now during the announcement that he made yesterday, talking about some of the factors which went into the determination of the new cocoa price. They talk about the rates, margins, and then the fees, which include the buyer's margin, the hauler's rate, warehousing, internal marketing cost, fees for disinfection, grading and sealing, as well as even the weighing scale inspection. They believe that all of these conditions were in existence in 2024 when the minority were pressing on the government to increase the cocoa price per bag. And so what has changed now that the government is now relying on the same factors to say that it's the reason they are giving this amount to the cocoa producers or the farmers. And so in the nutshell, they want the agri minister who had gone to Ahafo to gather farmers to campaign and giving them this promise to go back to the same people to apologize. And secondly, the finance minister who now controls the purse should cough up money whatever way he uses to get the money to give them what they were promised earlier.
They should stop the lamentations and honor their promises. Honorable Eric Opoku will have to go back to Dadia Swaba and apologize unreservedly for his failed promise. Fortunately, Honorable Atuforsen is now the finance minister. He controls the purse. He has to find the money to pay what he promised. Ladies and gentlemen, this new price of 3,228.75 Ghana cedis per bag is completely unacceptable and has to be reviewed immediately to motivate our cocoa farmers and prevent the temptation of farmers giving their cocoa farms out for galamsey operators.
And you still heard the ranking member on the Food, Agriculture and Cocoa Affairs Committee, Isaac Yao Opoku. Just very briefly, in like 30 seconds, Chris, I also do remember the finance minister then in opposition also criticizing the former administration of cheating cocoa farmers in terms of pricing. Has there been any swift or immediate response?
Not yet as of now, but we know that from yesterday, the argument has been that even when you look at the current exchange rate and also a number of debt that Cocoa Board owes, all of those are some of the nuances and the factors that are contributing to where we are. But some have hailed this move as the best way forward, and at least something that the farmers should be grateful for.
Thank you very much, Christian Yale, a Parliamentary Affairs correspondent. Let's speak to Nanao Pambo Boatin Bonsu. He's the president of Concerned Cocoa Farmers Association. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much. The name is the Farmer General Nanao Boatin Bonsu, the second president of the Concerned Farmers Association of Ghana.
Thank you very much, sir. So I'm sure you heard the announcement made yesterday and the subsequent reaction to the announcement by the minority, which we just played. I wonder where you stand on both.
Yeah, well, this is trade that we are doing. And at the end of the day, everybody wants to do trade and make money. So nobody wants to lose, like the way others are losing and others also are gaining. The situation is now the government of Cocoa Board made us know that it is because of the dollar rate that the price has become like that for us. Accepted. But we want to ask Cocoa Board whether if the dollar price goes up, are they going to increase the cocoa price for us or is it going to maintain like this? That is it, because it's the trade that we are doing. Because it's because of the dollar that is why we have this kind of percentage, this amount of money that we are having now. The president promised of giving us 70%, and then they fulfill it by cocoa, but they said they have given a percentage according to their calculation that they did. But at the end of the day, we the farmers on the grassroots heard that our cocoa will be bought 6,000 per bag. So that is what the farmers are calling for. As I'm speaking to you, I'm home. I can't even go out because at the end the crowd that pull up with my house asking that, Nana, what are we doing? We want to cut down our cocoa tree. We want to stage a demonstration. As I was talking to you, there is a threat on a demonstration which will happen maybe Monday. And the others too are claiming that they want to cut down their cocoa trees and plant rubber. And then this will also pave way, a massive way, for this political farmers to do their smuggling with the cocoa, which is very dangerous on the side of the government and the country as a whole. And nobody cares. Because yesterday, when the other made it clear that he has spoke with the chief cocoa farmers, and then they are happy with the price and other things, and then there was a consultation with it. But mostly, Cocoa Board do a wrong consultation with the wrong people. Because at the end of the day, these chief farmers are political farmers. They are not real farmers on the ground.
So let's talk about.
We don't even know them.
You think the people who set the price are political actors, and the real farmers are asking for 6,000 cedis per bag? I mean, it takes a lot for you to, get a bag of cocoa for sale. But beyond the call or the amounts that you've given us, what are you going to do for your members to ensure that at least the government meets you halfway?
Well, it is an engagement because now there was tension all over. And Christian Winnie Valley, this 10 o'clock, others started to cut down their cocoa trees. I called for them to put a stop to it. When you come to Eastern region, those that they also, the rubber people approached them that they were not, we told them not to give their land for the rubber plantation. They went ahead to give it out, and I stopped them. So now there's a whole lot of things happening. But the massive thing is the demonstration that is the farmers want to stay, which will bring a lot of controversy and a lot of things within the country, which Cocoa Board from today have to come out, because at the end of the day, what is happening, they might take it as a joke, but by the end, they will lose, because at the end of the day, even the 40,000 tons of cocoa that they said they want, they are not even getting it.
So let me.
This incident has also happened. But 20,000, it will be very hard for Cocoa Board to get 20,000 tons of cocoa.
Let me get clarity from you. Is there any step you're going to take immediately to ensure that you're met halfway?
Well, we are there. When they call us, fine. We will not go to them, because at the end, we are the farmers. We are there before they came. It is we, the farmers. It is we that they created the Cocoa Board. Without farmers, there will be no Cocoa Board. So they have to approach us. If they are not approaching us, and we have the farmers, we have the power to also to control the farmers, to bring them down. If they are not ready, we are not also ready to get to them.
Thank you very much. We'll have to end it here. Nano Pambo Boatin Bonsu, he's the president of Concerned Cocoa Farmers Association. Thank you so much for speaking to us now. After weeks of closure due to a violent attack that tragically claimed the life of a student, final year students of the Boku Senior High School in the Upper East region have begun returning to campus ahead of the West African Senior School Certificate Examination. This morning, the Visual Arts Practical exams kicked off smoothly with all 95 registered students present and participating. Let's get a quick understanding of what's happening on the ground. Castro Senyala is our Upper East Regional correspondent. He joins us live on the line. Castro, it's great to have you as always, but kindly describe to us the atmosphere in terms of security on campus right now.
Right, Beatrice, good morning to you. I was on the campus yesterday. As we speak now, I'm no more on the campus, but I am in continuous touch with the school authorities. Yesterday, when I was there, I saw a whole lot of security arrangements being made for the students to arrive and be comfortable and to write the exam and be able to, within the school campus or school community and environment, peacefully. There were positions of armed policemen on one side and positions of armed soldiers on the other side, making sure that the entire school environment or surroundings is protected. I can also report that there were also a lot of the students on campus. We understand that they are there are about 700 and something students. I'm not clear on that figure, but we understand that almost 500 of them have arrived ahead of the examination is supposed to start today. This morning, we understand that the students of the school who are visual arts students are seated and in fact undertaking a practical examination. And so in the coming days, the school says they expect a lot more of the students to arrive and also, position themselves favorably for the exam which is going to roll out vigorously in the coming days.
What about the students themselves? Would you say that they are okay with the assurances that have come forward so far?
Yeah, Beatrice, I've interacted with some of them who wouldn't want to speak to me on camera for their own reasons. And you get the understanding that these students in the first place, the final year students in the first place don't want or weren't really happy about the fact that they had been asked to go home. because for them it meant that if they don't write their exams, that would mean a truncation in their educational future, and so they were not really happy at all. But when word went around again and the directives were given that the final year students should, reconvene at the school campus, begin with their WASEC examinations, they were so happy. But then they are so happy and in fact continue to stress the need for more reinforcement of the soldiers in the military and the policemen in the school campus to create that convenient or that conducive environment for them to write. According to the students who spoke to me off record, they tell me that if they see the soldiers and the policemen around, they feel so comfortable. They know that whilst they are deeply buried in their papers, examination papers, there are people who are along the walls and in fact in the campus ensuring that they are safe and they can go about their examination. So in fact, they're asking that more reinforcement be made and the security agencies should do all that they can do to protect them. In the meantime, the headmaster of the school, Reverend Bukari Habugubela, has also said that he knows very well that his call has always been that they shouldn't close the school and they shouldn't drive the students away because of that incident. And so he's happy that call has been made for the students. The students return, and it's hoping that the other ones, the junior ones, would also be recalled very soon. He assures that he, as the headmaster and that's the department of the school, would continue to work with the stakeholders, the community members, to ensure that the students are safe. And I remember from 2 days ago, the community where the school is situated in the Boko municipality performed a blood cleansing ritual to rid the school of any case or any precedent.
I'm sorry, Castro, we'll have to end it here. We'll come back to you for more. Castro Senyala is our Upper East Regional Correspondent. Some 24 minutes past the hour of 12. When we come back, we'll tell you more about what's happening to former Arsenal player Thomas Partey.
Hello, Ghana. It's a new year and Bills Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start a business, don't let money stop you. With just your Ghana card, you can get a loan to turn your ideas into reality. Already running a business? Need more capital? Or are you a salary worker looking for extra funds? Bills offers fast and easy loans with no collateral, no deposit, and no SUSI savings required. Wherever you are, whatever you need, Bills makes it happen. Call Bills Microcredit today. Call 0596 920 833 or 0302 200 390 and get started. Bills is licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
25 minutes past the hour of 12. This is still the midday news on 3FM 92.7. Now, Black Stars and former Arsenal midfielder Thomas Partey has been granted conditional bail after appearing at Westminster Magistrate Court on Tuesday morning to face multiple charges of rape and sexual assault. We're talking about today. The 32-year-old Ghanaian international who left Arsenal following the expiration of his contract in June has been charged with 5 counts of rape and 1 count of sexual assault. The charges relate to incidents involving 3 women and are alleged to have occurred between 2021 and 2022 while Partey was still playing for the North London club. He is accused of 2 counts of rape against 1 woman, 3 counts against another, and 1 count of sexual assault against a third. Partey has denied the accusations. I'm joined in the studio now by 3 sports correspondent Murtala Yakubu. Murtala, first tell us briefly what happened at the Westminster Court today.
So, good afternoon to you, listeners again. Today, Thomas Partey made the first appearance as the Westminster Magistrate since he's been charged of 5 counts of rape and 1 for sexual assault. So the said one is even pending, and the prosecutor today, Gosbrin, made it very clear that if the said count, if they are investigating the said count, if they find him guilty, then they would add it to the charges. So for now, he's facing 5 counts. The court proceedings lasted for just 15 minutes today, wow. where the chief prosecutor told the entire court that Thomas Partey is no longer employed in England. Now he's employed in Spain because just a few days ago, we heard reports that he signed a 2-year deal with a club in Spain called Villarreal. So he's no longer in England. And remember that these issues were hovering around Thomas Partey for some time, but he was with Arsenal and his contract ended just this June, which means that Arsenal did not renew his contract. And once Arsenal failed to renew his contract, then the issues were brought up again by these accusers. Now, Thomas Partey has been accused by three different women, two on sexual assault, that is rape, and one on some physical assaults that the lady is claiming, which is not really clear. That is
what
why
physical assault means.
Means maybe he had an altercation with a woman and it degenerated into a physical contact.
But before you even go on, what was the relevance of the pronouncement that he was no more employed in England?
Well, because he's been granted conditional bail and he would have to travel outside England to Spain, and some conditions have been put in place where he cannot even contact these victims or these accusers. He cannot have any personal contact with them. And two, the most important was he cannot make any international travel without informing the court, because they know he would leave England and go to Spain where Villarreal are having their pre-season. So it was right for them to make that pronouncement in court that he's no longer employed in England. So if they don't see him in England, it doesn't mean that this case, they are not following up the case. It means that he's only working in Spain. But he would have to inform authorities of any international movement that he makes. Even if he's going to come to Ghana, he has to leave England and say, I'm going for holidays in Ghana. He has to inform the courts.
Quite an unfortunate thing happening to Thomas Partey. If you could answer this next question in about 30 seconds. Looking at it whichever way, it may have an effect on his future, but let's talk about the direct one with Villarreal. How does it look like?
Well, I spoke to a Spanish journalist who is in the city of Villarreal, and he says that they are convinced beyond every reasonable doubt that Thomas Partey would be acquitted and discharged of all these accusations that have been leveled against him. That is why they offered him a 2-year contract. But it's a big risk that they are taking, because this matter can go either ways. But we are hopeful as Ghanaians that Thomas will come out of this, and he's expected to get back to court on the 2nd of September. This time he's not going to the Westminster Magistrate, he's going to the criminal court. That is where the issue has been sent to. So it's a higher court than the Westminster Magistrate, and it means that the issue is getting that serious.
Indeed, and Mutala will have some time later to talk more about this. Mutala Yakubu is with our sports desk, and briefly before we go, President John Mahama is sending a strong message to leaders across Africa that health is not just a cost but an investment. He's urging finance ministers in Africa to treat health the same way they treat other productive sectors and as something that brings long-term returns. President Mahama delivered this message while leading the African Health Sovereignty Summit, and we'll bring you more on that in our subsequent bulletins. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us on the Midday News today on 3FM 92.7. Log on to shrinews.com for more news. Coming up shortly is Business Daily with Bismarck Awusa.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. Coming up this afternoon, rating agency Fitch Solutions projects cedi stability through 2025-2026 as it cautions on gold price risks. We will bring you details. And Ghana Union of Traders Associations, GUTA, makes case for price reductions following Bank of Ghana's 300 basis points policy rate cut.
We are hoping that the commercial banks will respond positively by also reducing their interest rates, of which we could see a drastic reduction of prices.
These stories and others lined up for you. Please stay. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. Fitch Solutions is projecting a stable outlook for the Ghana cedi through 2025 and 2026, citing strong external buffers and favorable commodity prices as key drivers. According to the UK-based research firm, the local currency is expected to maintain its recent strength on the back of the Bank of Ghana's robust gross international reserves, currently standing at $7.9 billion, and elevated gold prices. In its third quarter 2025 Sub-Saharan Africa macroeconomic update titled "What Our Clients Want to Know," Fitch Solutions noted that while the current dynamics favor the cedi, potential risks tied to commodity price volatility, particularly gold, could threaten the outlook. Now, the Ghana Union of Traders Associations, GUTA, is optimistic that prices of goods may decrease in the coming months thanks to the Bank of Ghana's policy rate cut. Head of Business and Economic Bureau, Charles Kusi Apiab-Kubi, says traders are keeping a close eye on commercial banks to reduce their lending rates, which could facilitate price reductions in the markets.
Graciously, in their MPC reading, policy rates reduced by 300 basis points. That's a very good news. Policy rate is an indicator that the banks lend and also to manage inflation. Now, it is always a lag of impacts when policy rate is reduced. That's a transmitter of same reduction to existing loans always delay. So the impact may not be felt immediately. But we are hoping that the commercial banks will respond positively by also reducing their interest rates, of which probably we could see a drastic reduction of prices in the market. Until that is done, the status quo remains the same, and we are hoping the banks respond.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Union of Traders Associations, GUTA, is urging commercial banks to reduce their lending rates to align with the 25% policy rate and the 13.7% inflation. Charles Kusi Apia-Kubi emphasized that the move is necessary to drive down non-performing loans.
What is causing high non-performing rates? Cost of borrowing might be a factor, and poor loan management could also be a factor. Customer or consumer behavior, that's the business behavior or character, is also a factor. So we are looking at both the non-financial and the financial factors that contribute to NPLs. What we want to say is, if we're able to reduce cost of borrowing, it might also bring some level of affordability within the repayment space of consumers, which of course will help to manage non-performing loans. The banks also have a responsibility to monitor loans they have advanced to businesses to ensure they don't divert it. They ensure there's proper repayment plan. One of them could be cash pick arrangement to ensure that daily sales are placed in the bank, which of course will help the bank to control any attrition in terms of loan repayment.
Charles Kusi Apia-Kubi is the head of Business and Economic Bureau of GUTA. Now, in a related development, economist at the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Patrick Esumin, is cautioning traders to limit their expectations of substantial lending rate cuts from commercial banks. Professor Esumin argues that non-performing loans remain stubbornly high, which will likely prevent commercial banks from making any significant reductions in lending rates.
The final interest rate that customers pay is the Ghana reference rate plus a risk premium. So the question is, what has happened to the risk premium? Has the risk premium been stable? If the risk premium is generally stable, then in all likelihood, the maximum reduction you see will be maybe 200 basis points. So the 120 basis point reduction, and then some additional reduction coming from probably the interbank rate. Because you have to look at the risk to lending. And one of the easiest ways to see that is the non-performing loans. Non-performing loans has remained stubbornly high. It's still hovering around 23%. And if you're a bank and non-performing loans are high, you have to judge that the risk still remains high. So I think banks are going to be very cautious in making a substantial reduction in the lending rates.
Professor Patrick Isumin is an economist at the University of Ghana Business School. This is still Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. To some other stories now. A former Deputy Minister of Finance under the erstwhile Adu government, Dr. Alex Ampabin, has downplayed the government's reason for the introduction of the 1 cedi energy recovery levy. Speaking on TV3's Business Focus, Dr. Ampabin downplayed the government's initial reason for introducing the levy, stating that it was actually necessary to make up for revenue shortfalls arising from the sharp appreciation of the cedi against the US dollar and other major currencies. The government introduced the levy to raise critical funds to help settle Ghana's mounting energy sector debt, which had exceeded $3 billion, in order to avert possible energy crisis in Ghana.
The levy is because of the, as I would describe it, as a cedi appreciation tax, because the appreciation led a huge government revenue gap. So government now needs to find a way of bringing in that money. And therefore, the only response was to say, if you don't pay, they'll be doomed. So again, one thing I have to be clear, and as I keep saying, Ghanaians deserve the right to know. You see, I have been in the ministry. Every government successively knows that there are under collections from the energy companies, i.e. ECG. Therefore, government makes specific provisions, what you call the energy sector shortfalls. These are what we did as part of the IMF program. We have crunched the numbers there already. Last year,
and that was former Deputy Minister of Finance, Dr. Alex Ampabin. Before we go, the board of the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement Systems Limited, GIPS, has appointed Clara Arthur as the new chief executive effective September 1, 2025. Mrs. Arthur brings a wealth of experience in the financial services and technology industry with a proven track record of leadership, innovation, and driving growth from her leadership positions at Fidelity Bank Ghana, E-Process International, SA EcoBank Group, and private consultancy roles. She has expertise in technical guidance, IT solutions, and payment solutions. Meanwhile, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, and the board chairman of GIPS have expressed confidence in Mrs. Arthur's ability to lead the institution into its next phase of growth and success. And that will be all for Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. Thanks for your company. Urban Blend is next with Black Rasta. Please stay.